we're going to talk about how to bisect an angle. Okay, so when you're bisecting an angle, you're going to have an angle first to bisect. So I measured 25.5 inches over and 25.5 inches over. So that's a 90-degree angle right there, right? And I start right here in the very, very corner of this. I make an arch all the way around. There's 90 degrees. That's 180 degrees. So right here, 180 degrees. All the way around. 90 degrees from here to here and there to there. So you need basically 2 triangles to bisect a 90. Okay? So if I go like this, and they need to be, the triangles need to have one side be the same length on each one of them. So if I go from there to there, I've got one triangle, right? And then if I go from there to there, I got one triangle as well. Then if I go from my center mark through the middle of those triangles, I just bisected that 90 in half, and I made a 45. Okay? Now, if I want to bisect this 45 right here, so I got 2 45s, right? If I want to bisect this 45, I'm going to need, again, 2 triangles. So, right there, and right there, and right there, and right there. So one triangle here and one triangle there. Now if I draw a line through the middle of my 2 arches, now I have 22.5 degrees. Okay? So now I can use this 45 degrees to lay out a 45. I can use this 22.5 degrees to lay out a 22.5 degree. And I can use this 90 to lay out a 90. Because your cheeks, and that's what we're laying out here today, are symmetrical. That means that they're a mirror image to each other. Okay? Now, what if I wanted to do it one more time, and I wanted 11.25 degrees? I would build me another another 2 triangles. And I'd go right down the middle of them. 2 triangles. Now I have 11.25 degrees. And I could do it again, and I'd have 5 point whatever degrees.
11 and 8.
Yes. So I could do this, I can do this multiple times, okay? Now, how do I lay out my throat and my wrap? Well, that's pretty easy. I'm going to have to divide my 45 again in half right here. So I need 2 triangles. There's that. There's that. So that should be half right there. So I always make, what size of throats do I make, Greg? 4-inch throats, because they run through the machine easier, right? So I'm just gonna line this up until I get my 4 there. Right there. Right there. That's it, right there. A little bit more. So now I have a 4-inch throat there. And off of this angle right here, I have a 4-inch throat there. Then I'm going to want to write in my seams. So if I wanted to use a snap lock seam, how big would my male seam be? How much more would I add here?
1/2 inch.
That's right. So on this, I mean, I can guesstimate a 1/2 inch. There's a 1/2 inch there. There's a 1/2 inch there. Now, let's say I want this 45 to be 16 inches long. I'd go from the inside of my mill seam right there. I'd go to 16 inches. And I'd go from the inside of my mill seam right there. Not very straight right there, but I'd go to 16 inches. And then I'd use my square to draw that down. I'd square it up so it's nice and perfect. Draw that in. Square that up so it's nice and perfect. Okay, so we know that my throat is going to be 8 inches long, and whatever height my duct is, plus my female seams. And on this end, I got about 10 3/4 here, and 10 3/4 there. So what is that? Total length gonna be 21 and a half. So my back wrap is going to be 21 and a half inches long and be bisected right in the middle and bent right in the middle, right? Then I'm going to add for my mill seam here, which I'm doing snap lock, so it's going to be approximately 1/2 inch. Over here again, same thing. I can get it right at 1/2 inch. There, that's laid out. That's a 16 inch cheek. Okay? Now, let's make the 90. So, I'm going to want to draw in 2 triangles again. The wider you are out on this, the more accurate you're going to be for the exact middle. But this is going to be close enough for duct work. So I'm going to bisect those 2 triangles, or the square that I just created right there, pretty much. So right there is the center of my 90. Okay. Again, I'm going to want a 4-inch throat. So there it is, 4 inches plus a 1/2 inch for my seam. This should go right together here to 4 inches. So I'm going to want approximately a 1/2 inch for my seam. That one there didn't get drawn very well. Okay, so what if I want a 16-inch 90 here? So the next thing I'm going to do, put that over. Holy cow, my square's not big enough. 16 inches there. Should be. Add for my male seam. Inches over here. Oh, that's right. Add for my mill seam, 1/2 inch. I could take that 16 right there. I mean to 20 right there. Finish this guy up. Finish my mill seam. Okay, there's a 16-inch 90. Okay, now what if I want a 22.5 degree? I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna bisect this here 22.5 degrees. My compass by making 2 triangles. Farther you get, the farther up you're going to be if you're going to want an 8-inch throat. So, if I want 4 inches for my throat, see how far up I got to start? Clear up here. So, if you're going to make a 22.5 inch, you're going to have a bigger sheet, a bigger sheet. We can just draw my 4-inch throat in here. Not quite 4 inches. There it is. And again over here. Then we can add for our mills, and then if we had a longer sheet of metal, we can make that, right? Then you can make an 11 and 0.25 degree. And then you can make a, whatever that is, 5 point whatever you said. Right? Pretty basic and pretty easy though, right, isn't it? So that's how you lay out a 90, a 45, 22.5, and 11.25 on the cheeks. Is everybody good with that? See what I did? You guys get it? Okay. What time is it?
It's like 10 till.
Okay. And let's keep continuing on and just talk about the wraps. So this wrap here, it's going to be 20 inches. 20. Say I wanted an 8-inch tall 90. It would be 11 inches tall for my seams by 40 inches long. This one here, 21.5 if it was 8 inches by 11 inches long. My throat, 8 inches by 11 inches. This one here, 8 inches by 11 inches. This one here, 8 inches by 11 inches. And just to be awesome, let's just finish the layout of the 22.5er right here. Now you can have a 2-inch throat or a 1-inch throat on these. You just won't be able to run it through the machine.
Yeah, good luck.
Just make tabs, screw them together, paint them, pookie them. Okay? So we can make this in. We can make this one 10 inches. Got 10 inches of room there. 10, 10, square. Square. And a 1/2 inch. Down here at a 1/2 inch. Here a 1/2 inch. There a 1/2 inch. Here a 1/2 inch. So that's a 10 by. And our wrap's going to be 5.5 there, 5.5 there, 11 inches. I really thought this was going to take longer. It's pretty fast and easy. So, having a compass in your tools is a good thing to have. You actually need 2 compasses if you're going to lay out when we go through the next one. You're going to have 2 compasses, especially for a square round, because you're not going to want to. You're marking 2. All of this duct work that we're doing is through triangulation. Okay, so you need a compass to make triangles, and when you're doing a square round, you need 2 compasses to do a square round.